Welcome into episode 106 of the Sabremetrix podcast. My name is Bill. Alongside me, as always, is Walt. Walt, how you doing today, pal?
Doing pretty good. It's been a long off season so far. It's tough to believe the Sabres were playing hockey not that long ago because it feels like August at this point with this off season, but only a few weeks away from the draft. Free agency right around the corner after that, so things will be coming fast off season wise pretty soon.
Yes, sir. We're going to try to get through a lot of topics today before those things try to, or essentially start popping off. Draft, free agency, RFAs, all that stuff, trades. Whoever knows what else is going to come up. And it is weird because it feels like forever since the Sabres have played, but they made it to Game 7 of round 2. And I just miss Sabres hockey. So
Yeah,
one
same
thing
here.
I one thing we did miss was last week's episode. Hand up accountability. Just had a bad week, and just needed to push past it. Things are definitely better this week, so here we are. Appreciate Walt kind of sticking with me while I was a little busy and then traveling again and that stuff too. Not often will I praise Philadelphia, but went to Philadelphia for a wedding over the weekend and had a ball and really needed to see the guys down there. So personally, that's what's been up with me. Walt, you said you got a couple World Cup things going on, but anything else personally before we actually get into Sabres stuff? Maybe share a little bit about our own lives with the folks.
I mean, really not too much. Going to a bachelor party this weekend. The future brother-in-law. So,
All right.
yeah, it should be pretty fun.
All right. That sounds good. Well, yeah, definitely keep notice of Walt's Twitter page on Friday evening, Saturday evening, stuff like that, because we know what happens at bachelor parties, and that's when the that's when like the O2 Sabres tweets start start
Yeah,
coming
that's
out.
when
I'm
the
sure.
real analytics come out.
Oh man, I just get imagine just sitting there with a beer and looking up, trying to figure out some analytics from the 98, 99 season or something.
You're like,
It's right
"Oh,
up my alley, by the way.
I
Not making
forgot
fun of
Tony
you.
Ludman played on the Calgary Flames."
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Oh man. Okay. Saber stuff. Let's get right into it. I think the big topic still right now is Alex Tuch. And I wanted to mention Aaron or at 23 Sabres on Twitter. I don't have the tweet pulled up in front of me. Just laziness on my part, hand up accountability. But he had a tweet basically saying that it doesn't make sense for either side to cave. And I can also make a debate, and I agree with that, but I can also make a debate of like why it's foolish for Tuck not to sign, within some reason, like 9 million plus. And it's foolish for the Sabres not to sign him for anything under 11 as well. So I wanted to see where you're at with the Tuck situation. We'll kind of talk through it and essentially what Aaron was talking about. Doesn't make sense for either to cave. Do you agree with that? Do you think one side will cave or should cave? Do you think the Sabres should finally just pony up and pay it and try to figure it out next year? Or do you say, look, like Tucky, just unfortunately, thank you for the service you did. You were productive, but it's just not going to work out anymore. So, like, where are you at with things right now?
I kind of think I've considered Alex Tuch not being a Sabre next season probably since, the Montreal series, probably since like game 2 or 3, because I really think, I mean, Tuch's play aside that series, yeah, I mean, just looking at the numbers, it really just doesn't make sense for either side right now. And I do think, maybe the Montreal season did play a role in that, but it may not have been Tuch's play. I think it was the play of Zach Benson. That's not going to be a guy you're going to be able to bridge for dirt cheap anymore. It's also not going to be a guy you probably even want to bridge at this point. He looks like a future core piece of this team. And then you have Consta Hellenus too. He doesn't really factor into the cap situation, but he definitely factors into forwards coming in and making up the points that the Sabres will lose by, Tuch going elsewhere. So I think there's just been so many factors since the beginning of May, pretty much, where it's just like, I can't see any avenue where Tuch coming back to Buffalo makes any sense. Like, he could sign for less term and more money, but even that doesn't make sense because really what we're talking about here is just trying to fit all these guys underneath the cap for next season. And to do that, I think you're really just looking long term here, especially with guys like Benson. Uh, being able to sign all the young players in the organization is a luxury that the Sabres have had. Signing Tuch to, a 4-year deal with a lot of money, like not even 8 years. That deal alone will make that much harder to lock up all your younger players long term when they have great seasons. And I know as a Sabres fan, it's kind of crazy banking on young players to improve because we've seen that not happen so many times. And, maybe I'm the crazy one saying it's going to be different this time around, but I really think the young guys they have this time around are guys I really want to sign long term. And I think giving Tuch a contract will definitely hamper the Sabres' ability to do that.
Where do you stand when it comes to possibly trading off some assets? I've heard Greenway, Zucker, McLeod in there as well. They're all in like the high fours, like mid to high fours to $5 million, I believe, is what McLeod's at. Or maybe not re-signing Krebs or Malenstein because Krebs might demand like Jequin money, maybe like 3 mil a year, I guess, just because he proved like he can at least fill in on the top line. It's not perfect by any means, but he proved that he can at least fill in there. Malenstein, I would assume, is probably going to be looking for some money as well. Nothing crazy,
Yeah.
but like, where do you stand on sacrificing people to get Tuch in the door, be right up against the next season? Because we also have to remember Jeff Skinner's 6.4 repeating, I believe, is what's going against the cap. And then obviously it lessens to, I believe, 4 and then 2, if I'm not mistaken. While you're talking, I will confirm that. But where do you stand on possibly subtracting, especially like an easy one is Greenway, the injuries. It's like 4.5 for really what do you actually bring? And like, I like Greenway, but 4.5 or whatever he is making, it's a bit much. And it's like, okay, you get that out the door. At least that's helping you out a bit as well. Like, where do you stand on possibly selling off some other guys to keep Tuch around and then also have space, hopefully, maybe depending on who they keep and who goes over the next 12 to 24 months, maybe they can keep those young players as well. Where do you stand on that?
I do know things will clear up cap wise with the Skinner situation.
Yeah.
I'm just really not in the headspace right now where I think the Sabres should go into the next few seasons where they're having to, just find good value contracts like just to get underneath the cap. I'd rather have a season where we have a third or fourth line guy play well and be like, we have the 2.5, 3 million sitting around to be able to extend this guy. I just don't want to go into a season like this early on in the Sabres build where we're starting to have to look at fourth line forwards that we could get for like 800K or fourth line forwards that are on entry level contracts that may not be as good as an established NHLer. I just love having the flexibility right now of being able to sign a Malenstein, be able to sign a Krebs. I do think it makes sense to maybe move on from Greenway, even just open up a roster spot and free up some cap space for even a non-Tuch roster move. But I just don't think Alex Tuch is at that level of player for me to kind of tighten the cap on this future Sabres team. There are players where I'd be willing to do that, but I just don't think he is. And I really think it has to do with his age because I know it sounds crazy seeing his last few seasons and being like Sabres should move on from this guy. But the 30s for forwards with his play type, I mean, those guys age fast. Like those guys could be out of the NHL by the time they're 35, 36. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with Tuch, but it's definitely a possibility. And I'm just not willing to gamble with that just because I think this team's future is so bright. And I think they have so much depth at forward in this team's future where, yeah, I'm just not willing to tighten the cap long term just to keep Tuch around.
Okay. I think I'm more in the camp of like if they sign him again, I'll understand. I'll be like, might not necessarily. I probably lean towards letting him go, but I'm not like I can't see him on this team. It definitely depends on the contract though. Because anything like double digits, he may deserve. I'm not saying he doesn't, but just doesn't make sense for the Sabres. And the other thing I struggle with though is if you sign Krebs, and then yeah, sure, if you pencil in Sam Carrick, he makes what $1 million next season. But again, let's just say Krebs makes $3 million next season. And then you have Greenway making whatever he does. By the way, Jeff Skinner is 6.4 this season and then 2.4 repeating for the next 3 seasons. So when I said 4.4, I was incorrect there, but that is Jeff Skinner's buyout. And then Greenway is making, he's making 4 million flat, which still,
yeah, that's a lot.
Krebs making 3. That's like what? 8, 9, depending on who's playing on their fourth line. That's an expensive fourth line.
Sucker too makes a lot for. I know his role last season pretty sizable, but he's also up there in age. I know there's not term left on that contract really, but
yeah,
next season he's due for like a pretty sizable cap hit.
Yeah, Zucker is 4.75, and he has a 5-team no trade list. So does Greenway as well, which I find a little interesting. But yeah, then
all
you
these
also
guys do. It's crazy.
Like, what do you do with Tanner Pearson? You have Beck Mallenstein, of course, and Krebs.
Yeah,
what about Josh Dunn?
I think Pearson's just like all those new guys, like Pearson, Shen. I just not even imagining them coming back
Stanley.
next season.
Like, I'm not even looking really at Stanley.
Stanley's interesting because I would have penciled him in the lineup last season before the last few playoffs games where he wasn't even playing. That kind of makes me question whether he'll be back. I think Kesselring, he's, if I had to guess, I think he's 75% gone in my mind. I'd be stunned if they could convince him to come back.
Yeah, well, we kind of, how do I say this? Not exactly the happiest fella about not playing. And I don't necessarily blame him. And but I also can understand why they didn't in a sense. But then there's sometimes where it's like, really, we're going to go to Luke Shen here instead of Michael Kesselring. Towards it, it's just like,
he's not the youngest player either. Like people are acting like he's like 22 years old and needs to stick it out in Buffalo. Like,
yeah,
he's he's 26 years old. He turns 27 next year. He still hasn't had a big payday in the NHL yet. For these guys, this is what their families are living off of in the future. If he could turn that next contract from $2 million into $4.5 million, if he goes on to a team where he has a larger role, I'd 100% be pushing for that if I was Kesselring. And I do think he will be pushing for that. So that's kind of why I don't really think he'll be back with the Sabres.
If you don't play, there's no chance of you getting a pay increase. If you play and you play poorly, of course it won't happen. But if you play well, it does. But if you don't play at all, there's no chance. No one's going to be like, yeah, let's give you a raise. You couldn't even crack the lineup over there. It's not going to happen. So yeah, exactly what you're saying. So yeah, there's some decisions to be made. But if they don't sign Tuch, then there's some more money to be shelled out to some of these people. Maybe Kesselring can make a little bit more money elsewhere, but they say, hey, look, we're not re-signing Stanley or Shen, so we're actually going to give you a fair shot. Get through training camp healthy, and we'll, let's go from there. Maybe that's what they can do for him.
I still wouldn't trust the Sabres though if I was Kesselring. I respect.
I wouldn't either. I'm just
Yeah, because it's just like I feel like they'll find some guy that's playing in like the Belarus second division that they sign, and they'd be playing him over Kesselring.
It's gonna be wild. When Lawrence Pilot returns and takes his spot, and everyone's just like, "Oh man, we call that
Victor
the no-fly zone."
Yeah, Victor bring back all the old crew.
Something I wanted to mention to get back onto the Tuch stuff before we stray too far. This was me more writing out my own thoughts, like on paper about the Tuch situation. Is if they let him walk in, just kind of the way like you're thinking, and I'm like, I still think he's probably more likely gone, but I wouldn't. I feel like I'm more in like the 60-40, 70-30 he's gone camp. But for me, it was we need to prepare for some things that we might not necessarily want to see. Especially, it sounds like the big name center might not be out there. Larkin's not coming here. It sounds like Robert Thomas might not be available. We've heard, hey, this guy's not available. Next thing you know, he's gone. Heeshear, we'll see. There's someone else that I'm forgetting. But when I say things we don't maybe want to see, guys like Jack Quinn could have a bigger role next season. That's not necessarily something I want to see, but he's a winger under contract. They seem to really like him. You take away a right winger, you just naturally assume that someone's going to be bumped up in responsibility. If they bring someone else in, okay, fine, whatever. If that spot is taken by Hellenus or Oslin because they're not playing center yet, I'm specifically thinking of Oslin because he was so poor in the dot, even though he is good defensively as a center. I'm just saying for, like Quinn to have more of a role, or like I was thinking, I started writing other stuff like Appert's still going to be here and he's going to be the power play guy. Like you're just going to have to deal with it, kind of thing. Like you don't necessarily want to see this, but this is what it's going to be. Or like they're going to run back the goaltending like they did last year minus Levi. You might not really want that to be the case. You might want Hellebuck or Bobrovsky or Wallstat, but it's just not going to happen. So like I'm mentally preparing myself, and I would maybe throw this out to others, and you can disagree if you want, but like maybe prepare for some things that you're like, man, like I really wish that wasn't the case, like Jack Quinn being on the second line or something along those lines. Do you kind of like feel like that's the case as well? Is that valid to kind of start preparing for maybe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons like the off-season discourse is so annoying because it's always like, oh, let's trade for Hellebuck. We'll give up our fifth best prospect, a 27th overall pick, and Jack Quinn, and then we'll go around and go to St. Louis and get Robert Thomas for like another three guys we don't
Mert
want. I
Yeah, like
yeah,
Merca and a used napkin, like
yeah, like Mirka first and Anton Wahlberg. Yeah, it's just we're the Buffalo Sabres. It's most off seasons. There's not a big splash move even available for this team to make, and let alone guys wanting to come to Buffalo over another contender. I do know Buffalo's probably seen in much better light than they have been previously.
but it's been
Obviously,
it was 1 year. It was 1
yeah,
year,
it's
like, it was
still
a great year, and people were like, "Okay, do it again," and then maybe you really have some people, like, buying into it, but they're like, "Was this year a fluke? It's 1 year."
yeah. Well, I just don't think you have to take a home run swing this offseason. Like, why not try to hit a double? Like you're losing Alex Tuch. Maybe get rid of some of the guys in the bottom line to free up some space, like Greenway, and try to get like a good second line forward, like another Josh Stone type, or like an overlooked younger piece on another roster. Like I just don't get why every offseason and it has to be a blockbuster trade. Like
Yeah.
let's keep hitting like these doubles and just build a team that's solid long term. I just don't really see the Sabres team as in the spot right now where they can just be adding like 30, 31-year-old guys and going all in. I think just as a hockey fan my entire life, that your best chance to win a Stanley Cup is really just to have as many swings at it as possible.
Just had a
Like
goalie get hot.
yeah, like if you just have one or two big swings at a cup, like kind of like Yarmo did with Columbus, you're never gonna win a cup if you have a team where you're able to take a swing every year, like those Pittsburgh teams. I mean, obviously that was a unique circumstance, but even we see a team like Colorado, they haven't won it in a while, but they're in it every year and they always have a chance to do it. I just think that makes so much more sense for the Sabres with how they're built right now is to kind of focus on being a sustainable franchise talent wise and
You just
not
said it. You just said it, what was on the little chart that they gave
yeah,
out, the sustainable or whatever,
sustain our
whatever.
lifestyle.
Yeah, you just said it. I mean, I get what you're saying, though, I'm not disagreeing, I just
Yeah, because
someone clip it.
I I think this drought too puts like kind of scares you a little bit because you know how quickly things can turn when you try to do a full on rebuild. So I think that's a
2015
big
draft?
yeah. That's just a huge lesson for the Sabres to be like, let's never intentionally try to get that bad again. Let's never deplete all our futures to try to go all in on one or two seasons. Let's
Well,
build a team that's good every season.
I stick by, like, you can't deplete your future and cheap contracts, and you have to draft well because you are Buffalo. Again,
Yeah.
Kevin Adams saying we don't have palm trees in Buffalo, we have taxes. He wasn't wrong. It was like, hey, dude, you're the top salesman. Don't
Yeah.
say that. It wasn't false. We just didn't want to hear it out of his mouth, especially at that time. And so you have to draft well, and you can't, like, I agree, but like, you know, no risk, no reward. But again, you get one hot goalie in the playoffs or something like that, and look what happens. Or look at Carolina when your goalie's playing fine, Freddie Anderson. Next thing you know, what comes back to haunt him is his playoff performances, and it appears like that could be happening again. So, like,
Yeah.
it is kind of a crapshoot. Goalies are voodoo, and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's a general like 5 to 6 teams that can win it. It's just like who's doing better, who's healthier in a sense, and whose goalies are playing better. It's more than that, of course, but I don't like I everyone going for this big swing this offseason. I get it. It's almost like the Bills never took that big swing, and now they have Josh Allen like starting to go down to like the end of his career is at somewhat in sight. As before, it wasn't even at all. You didn't care, but at
Yeah.
some point you're gonna be like, okay, well, he's getting a little bit older now. Like,
I I do think with the NFL though, they have so much player turnover there where you can take big swings. NHL guys
yeah,
are here for a very long time. Like
yeah, true.
News in 8 years is gonna be 28 years old. Like this
Yeah, he
guy's
could play
gonna be
another
here.
7, 8 years. Yeah, yeah.
This guy's gonna be here a very long time. So I just think with hockey, and that I'm still so confident in the Sabres team's future. Like, I think they have enough pieces here to, if everything develops right, win the cup someday without any major swings or anything. And I know they'll be adding some pieces throughout this build. And maybe one season there will be a major swing available to them. But I'm just saying, like ahead of time, like you said, like if they're not if they don't make a major swing this year, which it probably seems like it, like this offseason's not really a failure. Like I wouldn't be heading into next season if they lose Tuch and their only add is like a middle six forward in the depth defenseman and being like, oh man, the Sabres blew a chance. I'm still going to this
Mhm.
next season really excited because I'd love to see what Benson does with a full season. I'd love to see what Hellenus does. I'm not really worried about players like Quinn getting a bigger role because I do think our young guys are that good where they're gonna, keep Quinn in that third line role, where they're gonna keep guys like McLeod in a third or fourth line role. I just think about that series against Montreal. It's like these guys are playing so well. Like they're younger guys. Like this was a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That Montreal team. Sure, they didn't play well there, but they brought it against that team. And it was really the top players on this team, the big money guys, the skilled guys, were the guys that let them down. Uh, well, I guess Tuck wasn't technically a big money guy, but he was a big name and
He
a guy this team
he
relied
was
upon, and he let
he
him
wasn't a
down.
big money guy. He was a guy on a fantastic contract, and I do kinda get it why he would be like, "Man, like, this is my last chance. I'm going to free agency. I wanna get my money because he was grossly underpaid.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
the way
I
it is.
think Zucker was making Tuck money.
Yeah, which is wild. So, I mean, when it comes here's a question, and people probably could see, like, a minute or 2 ago, I was, like, mentally, like, asking myself the question, would you take the off season that we criticize, or at least I do, that I criticize after they miss the playoffs by 1 point? Would you take that off season and say, "That's okay"? Whereas now, we at that off season, we're like, that's not good enough." I don't exactly know what we said at the time, but, like, at least in hindsight. But would you take that now because they have the drought fixed or whatever, and you're basically saying, "Yeah, I'd rather you guys do a little bit less than do too much," kind of thing? Would you take that off season this off season? I don't would they signed Eric Johnson, Connor Clifton, and again, let's obviously not with their current age, but like those guys, who else was part of that? Oh, is that Craig Anderson? Is that when they brought him in? I can't specifically remember, but would you take that offseason, this offseason, basically it as a mindset of I'd rather do not enough than too much kind of thing? That's kind of where our conversation is kind of drawn to.
I think for me, yeah, I mean, it really just reminds me of the summer of 2006. Like Sabres really lost pieces more than they added pieces. I thought they were a better team the following season because they really followed like the natural progression of a talented hockey team that knows how to play the game the right way. So that's kind of, yeah, we really wouldn't be disappointed with like a 2023 offseason at this point because I do love all the pieces they have there right now. I feel like some guys will be hard to upgrade on.
Okay.
Like, I thought I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm just overvaluing the playoff series, but I thought Owen Power was like
Just
this guy looked like a number 1 NHL defenseman. We didn't really see that Owen Power at all during the regular season. Like, imagine the Sabres team with that Owen Power for a full season, and then
and he
imagine
was on like 1 foot too at the end of
yeah,
it.
he was hurt too, which is, like,
Oh,
even crazier, and then someone like Yuri Kulik, I'm not counting on him to do much, I'm just hoping he could get back on the ice, but
yeah.
there's a chance he could be a somewhat valuable piece to this team too. That's a guy
Mhm.
that didn't have it all last season. Oslin, they barely had for the playoffs. He played, like, 2 games in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Helenius was a guy they didn't even add to this roster outside of a short stint before the Olympic break and then a few games in the playoffs. I just think there's so many pieces that kind of remind me of, the summer of 2006 where we have all these pieces in the system developing. I mean, guys that are ready to come up right now, where it's just like, I don't really see the need to force anything versus the Sabres teams before. I did feel the need to force stuff because I don't think a Tage Tuch Darlene core was enough to really do anything back then. And that's was like pre Benson being more established, like pre all this. Now I think they have so many two-way guys like Doan and Benson, where it's like they have a team that could consistently win throughout an 82 game regular season and a team that could challenge really good teams in the playoffs. Because guys that are IQ based and don't rely on out skating other guys or pulling off like a toe drag move that somehow gets through and you're able to snipe it top corner in like a 1 inch spot. Some of that stuff's not translatable. Being a high IQ guy is translatable. And Sabres have so many of those guys now where I'm not really as worried about year over year variance as I was before when this team's core kind of consisted of guys like Skinner, Tage, and Tuch who could go through some rough stretches with how they played the game. And yes, it's really not a concern for me anymore with this group.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I feel good. That feel good. I like that. That was a good one.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
I mean I'm just confident in this team now. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
such a different feeling, but
Yeah, you're like, this is weird. I've never felt this
yeah,
before.
it's just what happens when you keep drafting like the smartest hockey players in the class. Like
Yeah.
eventually you're just gonna have a bunch of guys you can rely upon. And
I will say, like, some of the drafting is a little spotty, but Kevin Nash was just decent at drafting. Um, so we'll give him that. Maybe we'll have like a draft dedicated show, and maybe we can kind of like go over that after we go over other stuff because I do have like draft questions here. Might tap into them tonight, but maybe we don't. The one thing I do want to mention is like let's remember, like if we are losing Tuck, let's remember that he is a very good penalty killer. He's a very good forechecker. Yes, it's very frustrating when he's flying down the wing and he misses high and wide and he essentially breaks the puck out for the other team. But
yeah.
like there's good and bad with every single hockey player, and we need to remember that he's done a lot of good for the Sabres team on and off the ice. And the Sabres that will be tough to replace no matter what. What if he walks, it will sting. Now, the degree of that sting I think is where the Sabres can kind of like win the situation, like what you were talking about, people to fill in his place or to make up his points in the aggregate. Benson, Hellenus, Oslin to take jumps, Quinn maybe to take another jump because he started to finally look a little bit better. Power is taking jumps. The defense is still scoring. Like you can make it up. I still think no matter what, when you lose a player like Tuck, it's going to sting, but it's how you respond to that sting, how quick or how easy it is for you to nullify that. And I think the Sabres are in a pretty decent spot, especially in comparison to past seasons, past off seasons, to reduce that sting. Does that make sense? Like, of course, you are going to miss out something with Tuck leaving, but kind of like what you're leading on, like they have the stuff to not necessarily replace him. I don't really like thinking of replacing a guy one for one, but like to kind of make it up in the aggregate. And especially I will say if you keep, especially if you're not signing Tuck, I think the odds of Bo Byram sticking around is probably better. And just like the off ice stuff, Bo Byram's obviously a guy that's loved in the locker room. And Darlene and Tage are a little bit older now.
Byram's right in that age group too with the rest of the guys too.
So,
I feel
like,
like that would be a not bad piece just to keep around, even just for like keeping the locker room together type of stuff.
and so like the off ice, like you said, the off ice, the locker room stuff could be kind of made up there as well. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a hit to the locker room, but there's also a chance for other people to step up as well. And yeah, I think Bo Byram would be a good candidate for that. I think there's others as well. Josh Doan. I think Matthias Samuelson, and just kind of the way he is. And once you see Matthias Samuelson play well, you're like, okay, now I kind of get why like people in the locker room would enjoy him. He's kind of a
Yeah.
goof. He's kind of like deadpan. Like, I don't know. He's just a little different, but in a good way. In a good way. But when he's not playing well, it's just like, oh, look at this loser or whatever. But now it's just like, oh, I actually do kind of get it. And I know it's tough to like boil down someone's perceived personality just by like how they play on the ice. But like, he's happier, as you can see, things are going well, and you're like, okay, now like the happiness and him joking around and just being who he is, you're like, okay, I can see how the guy's like that. Whereas before you're just like, he just looked miserable and the play was
Yeah.
miserable and stuff like that. So I think losing Tuck, we need to recognize that they will be losing something, but it's also an opportunity for other guys to step up, and it's not going to be perfect. It's about reducing the sting is kind of where I got myself to. And I think the Sabres are in a decent spot to reduce it. It still might sting a little bit, but I think they're in a decent spot to reduce that. Okay. There's a lot of different topics. I'm going to go kind of off the board here. I don't know. I saw someone mention it, especially when it came out about Larkin's teams he wants to go to: Minnesota, Vegas, and Florida.
I
Does
guess
the
apparently there's two more I guess he's interested in.
Okay.
You'll never guess who it is. It's Dallas and Tampa.
Well, I almost cursed. Yeah, of course. Does the NHL have a consolidation problem? And that's like number one. Of course, like the good teams, like players are always going to want to go there. But it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gary Bettman. You were wrong to scold Paul Bissonnette when he asked you about taxes, because it's very clearly a thing. If a team is decent, solid, or good, like fair enough, these teams that they're mentioning are good, and Minnesota is not one of these teams, but the other ones are. If you're decent or like good-ish and you have the tax benefit thing of it, like people are going to flock towards you. Is this a problem with the NHL? And of course, it's easier for someone in Buffalo who's obviously not going to benefit from that for multiple reasons. No sunshine and high taxes. Like, of course, it's easy for me to complain about, but like, there's a lot of other metros that are, I wouldn't necessarily say in the same position, but higher taxes and or not great climate. And I get it for someone like Larkin who's lived in Michigan his entire life to be like, man, like I'm going to be coming back to Michigan in the offseason anyway. I might as well live the crappy months in good climate. I get that, but this seems to be a trend. It's not just about Larkin. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because, like, are you worried about the NHL in that sense?
Yeah, I do think it's become a problem, and I really think it depends on the player, obviously, of whether or not they'll pull stuff like this. I do think like kind of the old days where a guy would come from like a farm in Saskatchewan and get drafted to like the Calgary Flames and he'd like die for the crest and play his entire career there. I do think those days might be gone. And yeah, it's like a weird situation. Like, I feel like if there was like a Saudi hockey league that just popped up, like these are the type of guys that would leave the NHL for like an extra $2 million a year. Like, that's really where I think I'm at with like the NHL players' vibes at this point. It just doesn't really seem like there's a lot of crest loyalty anymore. And I do think Sabres have a bunch of guys that, definitely don't fit in that category, that seem like they genuinely like being Sabres and like staying here. So I'm kind of hoping that stays like that. And I'm kind of hoping these guys continue to want to be Sabres. But yeah, I do think it's a problem. And really, this is all compounded by like these no trade lists too. Like if you have a full no trade clause and then 4 years into a 7-year deal, you're like, I want out of here. I only want to go to the warm weather teams that are already good, like the Florida, Tampa, Dallas, Vegas. That's like an artificially shrunk trade market. So like these teams are going to be able to trade for Larkin for dirt cheap, like a first round pick and like a roster player that's not that good and a prospect that probably won't turn into anything. Like it's just a problem, and it's compounded by all these things that Gary Bettman has kind of let fester in the NHL. And yeah, I really don't think he's going to change anything, because even with the playoff format stuff, we've seen how stubborn he is with that, saying he's not going to change it. It makes no sense. And luckily, he's probably at the tail end of his tenure as an NHL commissioner, but at least for the next few seasons, they're still going to have to deal with most of this nonsense.
They're going to get a Bettman clone.
Yeah.
They're going to get a Bettman
AI
clone.
Bettman.
Yeah, right. I mean, but where do you say to the argument, well, these teams are giving these players these no trade contracts or these no move contract or whatever, like clauses in their contracts,
Yeah.
or not contract clauses in their contracts, whatever. Like, what do you say to that? You know, I go back and forth on this too. It's like, well, if you don't want them to do this, then, you know, don't give them that protection. And well, we
I
had
think
to
teams
because
will
of,
be more careful now. I think especially after this Larkin thing.
I think, well, yeah, especially, or the Quinn Hughes thing, but
Yeah.
like, I think it was also because of, we also have to remember like the COVID money kind of like messed stuff up. And so like, you know, guys that were resigning are like, well, how do we get them on lower salaries? Well, we give them this. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I believe part of that is. So, you know, please don't yell at me for spreading misinformation, especially about that topic. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
we're touching everything. We're touching COVID and live hockey or whatever we're calling it. We're
no,
getting
yeah,
real
I literally
controversial
think
tonight.
I'm just like, this has obviously been a great Stanley Cup Finals, but and
Yeah.
not to trash like the fan bases of Vegas and Carolina. I know they have great fans there, but I could be watching like a Riyadh versus like, I don't even know another
Istanbul or something.
Yeah, like somewhere like the Qatar national team that somehow, you know, makes Matthew Tkachuk a citizen. Like that's basically what like the Stanley Cup Finals feels like to me. Like, just felt like going from all of like the street parties with Montreal and even Toronto, and they're in it with like how crazy it's going there, like just the whole city rallying behind it, and then to go to a team like Vegas in the Cup Finals, like it literally means nothing to these people. There's no one even living in Vegas like more than 70 years ago. Like there's no heritage with this like hockey team. Is I don't know. It just feels like the game's trending in the wrong direction, but the games are still entertaining. But hockey, when I think of hockey, I think of like Potsdam, New York. I think of like a small town in Ontario. I think of like Peterborough, Ontario, like Kingston, Ontario. Just like these like,
I don't think of
small hockey towns.
Atlanta or Houston.
Yeah.
Like these places. Like Utah was actually like a pretty savvy move. I thought that was a good move.
Yeah, because it's a winter sports place. So
yeah, for sure. But like I get it. And like, again, no one from those fan bases are probably listening to this, but it's not a shot at the actual fans of that fan base, but as a whole, I just, I don't really have a lot of, like, full disclosure. Like, I've been traveling. Like I said, I had a relatively rough week last week. I haven't really watched it. I haven't really been that interested. And thank God Eric Stahl showed his loyalty as well.
Yeah,
You know, when he was cranking
I was
that
wondering,
thing.
is he still an employee of the Sabres and he's doing that?
Yeah, he's still on the website, and it's just like, can we get this over with? I understand we had a great season. It's the off season. It's like, why are you talking about this? I don't care. I'm sticking by it. Get that guy off this team. I don't care. I don't care. Like, we're having a lot of fun with the Sabres. It's whatever. He can go. He can go. We can find someone else for whatever he's doing. I'm sure someone else, hey, he's a great guy and people like him. There's other great guys out there that people will like. It doesn't need to be this guy. He'll find another job elsewhere. I'm sure he'll find it in Carolina. Get him out of here. So, like, sorry, that's my one negative thing I really wanted to get off. Like, go. Just get out of here, man. Like, It's not
Yo, he
that deep,
might
but
he might
like,
legitimately be like one of the least liked Sabres or even NHL players of all time by the Sabres fan base, which makes it so funny that he works for the Sabres.
he's not that bad at like I get it is a bit ridiculous for me to be like, get out of here, go. Like he's not like he's actually done anything genuinely harmful to us. Like it's hockey, it's a sport. Like he's not like he's an actual bad guy. I'm sure he is, but he's just like,
Yeah, no, literally be like the Miami Dolphins, like hiring like Thurman Thomas, and you were like a diehard Dolphins fans in the '90s, watching Thurman Thomas like run all over your team.
yeah.
Like it, but Thurman played like 1 year for the Dolphins. It's kind of the same with Stahl. Like
And he was Kevin's friend. Kevin's gone. Get him
yeah,
out of here,
that's
man. Like, I get it. I get it if you wanted him to like stick through the season so it didn't look like, oh, it was just Kevin's dude, and the second Kevin's gone, he's gone too. Season's over.
yeah.
What are we waiting for? Like, I'm not
Also,
again,
too,
I don't I would hate if someone advocated for me to lose my job. I get it. That said, I'm sure you can find another job out there, Eric. I'm sure you're a swell
with
guy.
The Hurricanes could give him the same role. Like I don't even think he did anything in Buffalo this past season meaningful. Like maybe join a few Zoom calls. Like I don't.
Yeah, I again, like,
He
this is
wasn't
more
in
than I wanna
person.
talk. Yeah, like, sorry for even bringing this up, but, like, yeah, I agree as well. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, like, shut you off from whatever you said. I'm the one that brought this up, but, like, yeah, it's just anyway. Anyway, let's get this thing back on track. I apologize for even bringing it up. Um, I really don't wanna get into draft stuff too much. I wanted to see where your limits are, what you're thinking when it comes to contracts, and, if you want to break them up on a short term, 2, 3 year deal, this is what I would give. And on a long term, this is what I would give for the guys that are UFAs, RFAs, whatever. Um, Let me see here. Or even guys that like you can start negotiating with on what, July 1st, because they're UFAs or RFAs after this coming season. But let's just start with the guys here. Tanner Pearson, or if you're like, look, I'm just not going to resign this guy, or I would only resign him at like league min. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this and get a further record. I'm going to go down from forwards, then defensemen, goalies, whatever, of who is an RFA or a UFA this offseason. So UFA, Tanner Pearson. Do you have any limits? What do you think? Just your thoughts on
I think for Pearson, enjoy retirement. I think he had a good career. Guy was literally playing meaningful NHL games when I was in 8th grade. I'm about to be 30 years old next season. So, yeah, enjoy retirement.
Fair enough. Alex Tuch, I mean, like, is there like, if you want to sign for this, we'll sign you, or is it legitimately you're gone? Like, just he's on the list, so we'll talk about it again real quick.
Yeah, Tuch's just one for me. It's like I could say like I give him 4 by 12 million, but really that cap hit's more of an issue for me than the term, but the term's also an issue. So it's like a situation where it's like I don't even know.
Okay.
There's nothing I'd offer him that wouldn't be insulting to him. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
that's also the thing is like you don't want to lowball the guy to the point where he's just like now he just hates you too, and I'm sure he's not
yeah.
exactly happy, but like there's that dynamic too. I don't know. It's tough. It sucks to see like a piece of the Jack Eichel trade just go for quote unquote nothing. Maybe they can figure out a deal where like they sign and trade, so he does get that 8th year with Seattle or Vancouver or wherever he might want to go or whatever. Maybe that works out, but like it does kind of stink that that's the case. Quickly moving on to Beck Malenstein.
I'd go like 3 by 3. I know it's Malmstein kind of hated the trade originally, but the cap's going up. I'd go 3 by 3 to keep him around on the 4th line, keep him around as a PKer. I think I loved him in the playoffs. I think he could be a valuable piece, and if you surround him with the right pieces on the 4th line.
I do too. I still at the time, I still like now it looks good, but at the time I still stick by being like, what are you doing trading a 2nd round pick for this guy?
Yeah.
Now it definitely looks better. Is Beck Malenstein, if you draft someone as a 2nd round pick, are you hoping for that player to be Beck Malenstein? Of course, you want him to be the best player ever. You want him to be like your
I
Braden Point, Cole Hudson, whatever. But like, best case scenario, some 2nd round picks like never show up, like Vaclav Karabachek or whatever. So like,
yeah.
second round pick, you're like, well, actually, I do kind of like. If best case scenarios, they kind of turn into Valentine. Where do you like? I've kind of thought about that at times. Where
Well,
do you
yeah,
stand on that?
I do think like Cole Hudson being picked with the pick the Sabres traded definitely makes like the valuation of that trickier. But I do think overall as a whole, with
Yeah,
those second round picks, like even a late first round pick, like with the Sabres late first this year, I'm kind of hoping they get a guy that could be like a third, fourth liner. It's better than getting a
that's true.
guy that's not even an NHLer. I think
Yeah,
people need to go on like hockey database right now and look at the 2023 first round picks, like kind of after the Benson pick, and see how some of those guys have struggled in the AHL so far. Like it's tough to make it to the NHL when you're not picking as high as the Sabres usually have been. So I do think Sabres fans have to get used to these late first guys not always hitting.
yep.
And
Patience as well.
yeah,
You need some patience with these
yeah,
first round picks too. It's going to be big time patience. It's no long
because
like you needed patience with Osland, and he was what 14th
like
overall,
middle of the first, like
middle of the first. No, 14th
16th,
was for
15th,
saying.
14th.
Oh crud. Maybe Osland was the 14th as well. I know someone out there definitely knows this, and they're like, Bill, you're an idiot. I don't disagree. But
I don't
like,
remember the exact picks that well. I just know like the range. He was there. He was like middle first.
but
But
again, like
it's
he
gonna be
needed
like
the runway.
Wahlberg. Like
Yeah, like
Wahlberg
yeah.
prospects are gonna be what the Sabres will be drafting late first this year.
16th overall for Ostland, and then I think 14th was Roseanne. So that's kind of why I got that screwed up. But yeah, so that's a good point to raise as well. I want to keep this going. Peyton Krebs, he does have arbitration rights. So I guess in this one specifically, you could just be like, yeah, lowball him, and then whatever the arbitration comes back, just sign that. That could be an option as well. Or do you want to sign him to 3x3, 3x4, 2x4? You know, we want to sign him long term. What do you think?
I think for me, I kind of want to go long term with him. I might do like 5 by. I don't want to go 4 million, but the cap's rising. Five
Would
by
you do
four
like
million, I'd be fine with.
5 by then Samuelson's term? And Samuelson makes 4.285714. So 4.285. Would
I,
you give that 5 years, 4.285 to Krebs?
he's a jackknife of a piece. I think he
I do
showed some
kind of
really
like it.
good shifts on the first line. Like 4.2 million in a few seasons is gonna be like low threes at one
I,
point. Like
I
it's
am
not a bad
still
price.
I'm still struggling with the sticker shock as well that we need to get used to. And I think a lot of it, I need to start looking at more of the percentage of the cap to kind of get like what was the percentage of the cap. So like realistically, this 4.2, like you said, you know, in
Be a
3
lot
years,
less. Yeah.
it's going to be a lot less. So that's like I'm struggling with that myself. It's just like such a weird thing for us to see it jump so much and to jump so much over a few years. So, um, yeah, I'd be curious to see if other people agree with you. So I guess here's a good thing. Throw it in the comments. What would you sign Peyton Krebs to? I kind of like that. Like 5 years, give him a little stability, maybe
I mean,
Darlene can punch him in the face once in a while.
yeah. I also love seeing his postseason press. Like this guy loves being a Sabre. Like
He does.
these are
He does
guys you
enjoy
just
it.
want to have around the team. Like you don't want to have guys like Dylan Larkin that are looking for like golf courses rather than playing on a winning hockey team.
I also like that he's showing up in like a Canadian tuxedo and like an old school like
Yeah,
Mustang or whatever. Great for the vibes. All
you
right.
need you need those Canadian farm guys. Like I don't think Krebs grew up on a farm. I think he just likes the style, but
or the
you need that type
or the
of vibe.
or the carny freak. Sorry, Zach, but
Yeah,
like, and I mean that in the most endearing way. Like, if
like
you know this
the
podcast, you
Western
know I love this guy.
yeah, like the Western Canada like vibes on this team right now. Like the working class Western Canada.
Yeah,
We got some guys right now.
it's real blue collar. But I mean, it fits Buffalo. It's got to be blue collar.
Yeah,
That's Buffalo, man. Like, there's a lot of like I've come to notice, especially as I get older and like looking at like finances, buying homes, stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of money in Buffalo. But the heart and soul of this place is blue collar till we die, baby. And
yeah.
like those are just the kind of guys you want. So, all right. Speaking oh crap, sorry, he was after this guy, so it's not exactly climactic, but Josh Dunn is UFA.
Josh Dunn.
I really liked him in the beginning of the season
Yeah.
on that fourth line, and it just didn't really seem to happen again.
Yeah, I guess it depends if they move on from other pieces, but if you need a
That's true.
14th forward, like maybe like 2 years, 1 mil or something
Yeah,
like that, just
that'd
keep
be
him
good.
around.
Maybe put him on like a one-way contract, so even if you do end up sending him down, he'd still be making like the NHL salary or
Yeah,
however that works too.
like
Maybe.
1.25 or something. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
14th forward, 13th forward is not terrible.
Especially if you get rid of Greenway or if Krebs. Krebs is probably coming back, but they also have Kozak as well, who's like a cheap option, but like he's got injury problems, so I don't necessarily like. He'll definitely play, but like how often too? So
Kozak
like
looked good in the playoffs too.
he
Like he didn't
did.
play that much, but he looked decent.
He did. He's got the speed for sure, and there's times where you kind of want more of him, especially when they like. I don't. I don't want to say it depends on what you consider held your own, but when he got bumped up to what the second line when Osland went down or whatever, like you definitely were like, okay, like yeah, you can see why he's like a bottom six forward, but you're also like, you can see why he's a good bottom six forward. Like he kind of held his own, especially with his skating. But Tyson Kozak has also been someone that has struggled with injuries in his career, so we need to recognize that. So I think signing Josh Dunn's not a bad idea. Can you find another Josh Dunn out there, or maybe even like a slight upgrade on him? Sure, maybe. But if you sign Josh Dunn, I'd be like, okay, makes sense.
You
Now, if
need
you're
those
penciling him in,
Clarkson guys. The
yeah,
Potsdam, New
exactly.
York. I want hockey players team that played hockey in Potsdam. I think
Yeah.
Yarmo might too. Yarmo's also a Clarkson guy.
I will say, when I was on vacation, I ran into a kid who plays for the Clarkson team right now. I think I actually mentioned this on our last episode. I also realized we did a live stream or whatever. I totally forgot to post it to Spotify and Apple. Like we did it, I meant to do it, and then something obviously came up, and I just totally forgot. So yeah, we have like kind of like a hidden episode like a week or two ago that people can go find. It's on YouTube. It's just not on Spotify or Apple. So apologies for the audio listeners there. That's totally my fault, and I forgot to even mention that at the beginning of the.
So this Clarkson info will be new to them.
Yeah, but like yeah, so this was it was a Clarkson kid, and his agent is actually Zach Benson's agent. I was
Oh
like, I love
wow.
Zach Benson. I would love to see him in Buffalo for forever. Drop the good word. So yeah, this was when I was on vacation at the bar watching the Sabres playoff games, kind of like by myself essentially. Because
Should have asked for the agent's number. Just keep texting him, be like, get that contract done.
I should have, but like this kid was like, he's not exactly the like, he must be like a skill guy, and he was. I did kind of like tried to figure out who it was. I think I figured it out, and he put up a decent amount of points, but his dad was huge, and I'm like, I'm not gonna mess with you at all, pal. Like, I know my limits.
When
So
I was
yeah.
just
Anyway,
on vacation for Easter, I saw Gavin McKenna somehow.
oh, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, like, it was literally the
Yeah.
craziest thing ever because my cousin comes over to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, there's a few guys from like the Penn State hockey team over there," and then they're like, I looked them up on Elite Prospects. They're all like fourth line guys, and then I see this guy
You're
that
like,
looks
wait a
like
second.
Gavin McKenna, and I'm like, I had to Google a picture and like make sure. I'm like, wait, that's Gavin McKenna, and
This is
then
pre or post knocking someone the F out after talking
yeah,
crap
no,
about
it
his
was
mother.
after. Yeah, I went up to him and talked to him. He was a nice guy. Like, I feel like I want to be that nice to strangers if that situation happened to me that happened to him in Penn State. But I was wearing a Sabres hat, and I'm like, good luck in the draft process this year. I'm just glad the Sabres are good, so I don't have to worry about winning the lottery to draft you. And he enjoyed that. And yeah, no, yeah, it's pretty crazy too that now he's gonna be a lease pick too, because that kind of ramps up the intensity of that like tenfold with
Mhm.
being drafted there versus elsewhere.
And the draft's going to be in Buffalo. And at this point, we're not going to be doing any draft stuff this episode, which I'm kind of happy about. And I can save this for next time, or whenever we do the draft stuff or live stream or whatever that is. Let's keep going through these as well. Now up is Zach Benson, RFA. Um, there's a bunch of different scenarios here. I know what you prefer. I know what I prefer as well, but maybe not only what you prefer, but maybe what the Sabres will do this offseason with him. Do you think maybe he's the first one to sign? I personally think he should be the first one that gets signed. But what do you think about Zach Benson and his contract?
I'd go 7 years, 8 million per year, leave no questions on the table, just get him locked up. He's not going to be a bad hockey player.
Okay. And like, if I'm going to like again, here, let's point out a flaw just to say we're being fair. Not a great skater. Doesn't have a great shot. If I'm going to put my money on a player to improve his shot and his skating, I'm not saying it's a shoo-in, but I'd put it on Zach Benson. He wouldn't be like the top. I'm sure there's another player out there that might have like better potential when it comes to improving their skating and shooting. But I'd put my money on him probably figuring it out, or at least
Even if he
making an
doesn't
effort.
improve, like look at Mark Stone skating this Cup Finals. He's a terrible skater, and he still has
If you're
been
smart enough.
producing. Is still out playing teams. It's
Mhm.
all IQ. Like the IQ is the most important part of the game, and I think Benson has that just like Mark Stone has it. I do think, I almost think when you're not a great skater, you also have to learn how to be a smarter hockey player. So I do think that's why we see some of like when you see those speed burst stats, like the max speed stats, you look at some of the guys way in the lower end, it's like, wow, these are like some of the best defensive forwards in
Mhm.
the NHL. And it's really because when they're
They've had
developing as, yeah, they have to focus on other parts of their game. They can't just rely on their speed.
Trust me, someone that was not a skater by any means.
Yeah.
The reason I got to even play at the level I did, which was not very high, I am not bragging by any means. It is a more shot at myself than anything. But the reason I was able to even play at the level I was is because I understood the game and had like the hockey smarts. Again, not the best hockey smarts. I went nowhere with hockey. I love the sport dearly, but yeah, like I couldn't freaking move out there at all, man. I have the foot speed of a dead snail. So like, yeah, that's your hockey smarts will get you quite a long way.
His
And
board
especially
play too in the playoffs, and really just with how he was able to get guys underneath the net and
it
shake
just
them
gets
off
under
him and find a guy for a pass. Like,
he's forechecking, he gets under guys, and then like not under guys' skin. I'm saying like under them with like leverage, and he's all over them forecheck wise, and then of course gets under their skin, not only with him just being like the rat himself and whatever, but like just with his play. It's gotta suck. Dude, you put Josh Doan and Zach Benson out there, like, dude, that sucks to play
yeah,
against. You have no breathing room. The guy's on you the entire time. That especially as a defenseman, is the worst thing ever because you're going to get hit, blah blah blah, like what, but like someone that's constantly on you all night for checking that you just have to throw the puck instead of settling it down and looking for a pass. It just sucks, and it's going to cause turnovers and chaos and mayhem, and that's where they live, and I freaking love it. All right, sorry, it's a weird like glazing session of a guy that we hope gets signed long
and
term.
we've done a
I
full heel term on like our previous podcast episodes, like the last few seasons. At this point, we'd be talking about like
Yeah.
signings from 2019, and now we're talking highly about all these Sabres players.
Exactly. It'd be like, I can't believe that we thought Casey Middlestate was the answer. Like we'd be talking about that. Like it was doom. Okay. I'm sorry. We have to get to defensemen. I'm gonna try to keep this thing under an hour, but I'm quickly failing at that. So Luke Shen, I think you kind of know where that's going.
Yeah, Luke Shen also enjoy retirement.
Yeah. Good dude. Good dude.
Yeah, get a nice cottage up in like Muskoka or something.
Yeah.
Just chill out with the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think another guy where he's had such a long career. He's older now. I think him and Pearson. I think it makes sense for both guys
Mhm.
probably to hang it up.
I will take Luke Shen over Eric Stahl in his position. Moving on. Logan Stanley.
Logan Stanley. That's so tricky because I literally have no idea how he'd be valued after what he did. Because he did have like some good stuff in Buffalo, but it didn't really end that well.
But he was
And
scoring like crazy in Winnipeg, but it was like a one season heater kind of thing. So I feel like people
yeah,
were like, what do you really think you're going to replicate that? Come on.
if you keep him around, he's definitely. I feel like he'll definitely push towards 4 million. I haven't literally looked at the contract projections yet, but I don't know if he's a guy I'd bring back. But I'd offer like 2 years, like 3.5 million. That would be what I would offer. I don't really think that's insulting.
Okay. Yeah. I'm curious on the Logan Stanley one too, and I can make a case either way if classic fence sitter Bill. But I don't. I think I'm good on that. Just because like I still believe in Michael Kesselring, and that's our next person. He has arbitration rights, so that is kind of one of those things where the Sabres can say one thing, he says another, and then they can just take the deal. and it's just like, hey, man, like this is what the arbiter came up with, kind of thing. So, what do you think about Kesselring? I have my own opinions. We might differ on this a little bit, but I still believe in him. I think you should try to sign him, but I also realize he's not a happy camper either. So maybe you can try to
Yeah,
sweet talk him into being like, "Hey, man, it was just a bad season. Just flush it." Maybe he's like, "Cool, I will," or maybe he's like, "No, screw you, I'm out." I don't know, but I
I
would like to
think
try to give him a shot and sign him.
I think he sees that Lindy 2-year extension and is like, that's probably another 2 years that I won't get any ice time here. So I don't, yeah, like in a vacuum, I'd love to have him back because I think he's
Yeah.
much better than Timmins, but
Yes.
I also don't think there's not like other guys around the league that could be like Kesslering that don't have like kind of the same frustration they probably have right now with the Sabres. Because if I was in his shoes, I'd be so upset, especially after having to sit and watch like so many
Shit,
fun
as
playoff
well.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, that all these fun games and stuff like that every time. Dude, like I know he took too many penalties when he came into to thing, but like it came into games, but he was constantly trying to get into fights to show like I can like he wasn't getting into fights because he likes them. He legitimately says I don't like doing this, but he was getting into them to show like I care about this team and I'm trying to like I'll do anything I can to play and stuff like that. And like I don't know. Like I'm giving
They
him a lot of
should have
sympathy.
given him more ice time in the regular season. I feel like that would have cleaned up some of the flaws in his game.
Yeah, instead of what was it when they played Zach Metza? Like he played 3-3 for Rochester. They had just sent him down. They bring
Oh
him back
yeah,
and they
that was
played him immediately.
crazy. Yeah.
Man, play Kessel Ring. It was like a random day in like San Jose or Anaheim. I don't know. Like again, overall, I don't have gripes with Lindy, but like there's overall now when you start to break it down, it's just like, man, like you could have given him some time, or like when Shen went in the playoffs, give it the Castle Ring. Like, sorry, Shen, but like, I feel like they could have done stuff to try to salvage this a little bit. And if he was still angry, it'd been like, okay, like at least we gave it a better shot than we did. I don't know, man. Like I still have a lot of high hopes for him. And like I'm not acting like he's gonna be a top two defenseman or even a top four, but like a really solid top six defenseman that can play night in and night out. At least that's what I believe he could be. I understand he didn't show it, but again, injury issues that he never really had to deal with. I don't know. I would really like for them to give another shot. I would like for him to give it another shot here in Buffalo too. Maybe Josh Doan can try to convince him or some other guys that he's gotten close with. I would I I would understand if he walked or like somehow got out of here or like asked for a trade or like took the arbiter thing for 1 year and then is gone immediately. But it's just I feel like they could have done better with this. And not it's not a game breaker. It's not like they messed up a situation with like their top defenseman or top forward or top goaltender, but I don't know. It's bad taste in my mouth. Sorry. Big rant over.
Yeah, like I think they should have put in the regular season because yeah, once it got to the playoffs, I wasn't one of the guys that was like, let's throw in this guy cold turkey and hope everything goes well. I was at that point, I was kind of like, he hasn't played enough to throw him out in a situation like this. But then it just kept snowballing the longer he wasn't playing, and
Yeah, like
yeah, like, I don't even know what I'd offer him. Like maybe a little bit more than he made last year just to get him to stay, but he definitely isn't worth like 4 million based on what he showed last season.
he just wants to play too. Like he probably doesn't necessarily care what the contract is. He just wants to play. So the next contract, like I said, like you
Yeah, he's
can
gonna
you
want
can
1 or 2 years. Maybe I think he's gonna want 1 year on his next
1 year.
contract. Honestly, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's going to try to do his best to get out of here this offseason if he can. And if not, then like as soon as he can, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And then maybe
he signs 2 years. He's 28 years old for his next contract, and that would be his first big money contract. Like that's really late in your career.
and again, you can make or lose money by the way you play with your contract. You're not going to make money if you don't play. That's absolutely his
And
mindset.
he's a
This is
big
his,
hit, like a 6'5" right-handed defenseman
and
too.
skates
All you have
well
to
and
do
can
is
hit.
get
Yeah.
ice time, and you'll get 4 mil per year.
Yeah.
So yeah, for him, I understand why he's frustrated.
I'm a little frustrated myself, and I do also understand it. So I get like, hey, look, he hadn't played in that long, might as well not throw him out there. That's why I play him more in the regular season. I don't know, man. Like, I love the Mets PDO heater thing, and I get it, but I feel like they might have he earned it. I get it, but I don't know. I really struggle with that
Metso
one.
is like
So.
a reverse Bryson last season where Bryson went in that PDO like opposite of a heater. Just
Oh
like a
my
complete
God.
cool down where he looks so much worse than he's actually playing because it felt like the Sabres gave up a goal every single time he was on the ice. This goalie said like a 820 save percentage with him out there, and then
Poor
Metso
fella.
does the complete opposite.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't know. The Kessel ring thing just kind of bugs me a little bit. So I'm gonna let it go now. Let's move on to, I guess the goalies are pretty much locked up, and then there's other guys like Jake Lecision, Trevor Kuntar, Oliver Nadeau.
Trevor Kuntar turned the Sabres season around with that game in Vancouver.
Sure did, baby. Nikita Novikov is like an RFA this offseason, I guess. That's something. Zach Jones is under RFA with arbitration rights. Devin Levi is technically signed through next season, so like don't really need to talk about like do we sign him or whatever, but like is there anyone
Yeah,
else you really
he's a
want to talk
different
about?
situation though, where it's
Yeah.
like he'll get claimed on waivers. So you either have to give him an NHL roster spot or trade him.
Yeah, because he'll definitely be picked up on waivers. So
Colton Ellis got claimed on waivers. I'm not saying he's a worse prospect than Levi, but I'd say they're like similar-ish tier. And
yeah.
Levi had more hype. Levi had a same amount of hype when he first came to the league. Like I don't really know if there's many goalie prospects that had that amount of hype. So even with that alone, teams will probably be a little interested to see if they could kind of reignite things there.
Agreed. So, Walt, that was actually an hour. And quite frankly, we didn't get many topics as I thought we would. But that means we still have meat on the bone to talk about next time. So, I said this last time. Our goal is to record next week. Hopefully, the weight of my day job doesn't come crashing through my door like a bull in a china shop. So, next week, next year, I hope to still be doing podcasts as well. But next week, I would like to do one as well, Walt. So we have plenty of draft coverage to talk about. There's going to be more Sabres stuff to talk about. Whatever the heck Edmonton's deciding to do right now with the whole Babcock stuff, we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Save that. I got some opinions there. Oh my God. So yeah, we have some meat on the bone, and I kind of like that we're going to leave it here. So appreciate everyone that was listening all the way. Like, comment, subscribe. I just looked it up. We're at 99 subscribers, so let's go for triple digits. Hey, maybe one person could just be kind enough. It's free, doesn't hurt you. Just hit that subscribe button. So
let's get to 1,000. Let's try to get another 901 before the next episode.
Heck yeah. I like that. Maybe I should just bot it. No, I'm just kidding. Of course not. I don't like the people that I don't know. I'm not going to say any opinions about people that bot stuff, and I don't think anyone in like Sabres community does that. But like, man, you really must care about like inorganic growth if you're going to be botting stuff. So anyway, well, final word. What do you got? Maybe I'm going to say my word is go U.S. men's national team. World Cup's here. I like myself a little soccer or football. So let's go U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think World Cup's going to be an absolute blast these next few weeks. It'll be fun to have that to kind of make up for the lack of Sabres hockey. But it's still cool that we're able to talk about, like, it's a Wednesday in June. We just talked about the Sabres for an hour. I feel like we have some type of sickness,
and I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I like the sickness was like the past how many other years where we're just like,
yeah, no, that's when it felt like an addiction. Now it feels like before it felt like we were addicted to like something bad for us. Now it feels like we're addicted to like spinach or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we went from addicted to hard drugs to addicted to working out and fruit smoothies. So
yeah.
I don't know, protein smoothie, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's there's no real good way of wrapping up this episode. So we appreciate you listening. This has been the Sabremetrix podcast, and we will catch you on the next one.